Hello again, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for Monday's edition of Alaska Weather on this 16th day of November 2020. I'm Dave Percy, a meteorologist with the National Weather Service, and I'll be hosting today's show. Up first, hazardous weather graphic. We've got up on the coast there. Let's scroll down to, there we go. On the Arctic coast, we've got a blizzard warning that continues until 9 a.m. Tuesday morning, so through tonight into tomorrow there, and a winter storm warning out for the eastern Brooks Range or northeastern Brooks Range, eastern North Slope, and that's for looking for 2 to 4 inches of snow there with winds gusting 40 miles an hour, creating low visibilities. But in the case of the Arctic coast, looking at winds gusting 50 miles an hour, and that could create visibilities down to less than a quarter mile. So they've got the blizzard warning, winter storm warning there for the area to the south. And then also there for the Juneau area, actually the high wind watch is still out for the Klondike Highway from Northern Admiralty Island, which includes downtown Juneau on up to the north there, for a dramatic increase in the northerly winds there. Looking at gusts over 60 miles an hour. Some areas could see even gusts over 70 miles an hour. In fact, 55 knot winds are in the forecast out of the north for Lynn Canal with gusts of 70 knots. So that kind of tells a story there if you look at the marine forecast. Otherwise, looking at the rest of the state, no other watches, warnings, or advisories out. And I don't know why this stuff's showing. It shouldn't be. But let me get all the way up here. Satellite imagery showing system there coming into the eastern Bering Sea. We're actually spreading clouds and rain. Of course, the warmer temperatures, stronger winds all the way up to the north. Nikolsky getting gusts about 50 miles an hour this afternoon, with AKwx had that gust of 55 miles an hour last night, and about a half inch of rain falling at Atka. And warmer temperatures pushing all the way up to the Cape Lisburne area, where they're reporting some light rain this afternoon with with winds gusting close to 60 miles an hour. And then you move to the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, Kaktovik, Barter Island, seeing winds gusting 50 to 55 miles an hour there. And then on the east central coast, out of the west, up to 40 to 45 miles an hour. And even on the North Slope, pretty windy conditions with some light snow. Umiat Airfield, west, or gusting to 40 miles an hour, and temperature up into the upper 20s there, coming down off the western Brooks Range. Otherwise, to the south, few clouds, Kobuk, Koyukuk Valley area and into the upper Yukon Valley, but maybe a few flurries on the eastern or north side of the eastern Alaska Range, but high pressure from the Yukon and northwest Canada all the way into the central interior, holding, ridging southward across Bristol Bay. Mostly clear skies and chilly temperatures. Winds not too strong, about 40 miles an hour so far. Southern Lynn Canal, from what I saw, Cape Spencer had northeast at 36 miles an hour, even lighter winds down to the south. There were a few lingering showers over the southern panhandle this morning, but they've ended now, and skies clearing out. Did pick up 1 to 2/10 of an inch of rain there at both Metlakatla and Ketchikan, about a tenth of an inch or so at Klawock, but that's all ended now with the drier air moving in, and that system pushing the rain and winds into the Fox Islands there, eastern Aleutians, and beginning to improve a little bit back to the west with weak high pressure coming in. And for tonight, that front will continue to weaken as it spreads rain to the western Alaska Peninsula. Winds will come down as well with it, continue to diminish, kind of staying breezy though over the northern Bering Sea. Next system making the appearance there and pushing back into the gale force winds and rain into the western Aleutians late tonight. And high pressure holds over the central interior for not much change. Gusty outflow winds, North Gulf Coast, Copper River Delta, could see gusts 50 miles an hour. Not so much for the Kenai Peninsula. Pretty light winds, though, for the remainder of interior Alaska and southward Kodiak Island, mostly clear skies. But the Panhandle, big difference there. Low pressure south of the Queen Charles with that Arctic high in over the Yukon. And you can see that gradient tightening up pretty well there, and winds coming up, as I mentioned, definitely, possibly going storm force by late tonight. Definitely tomorrow they will be, with hurricane force wind gusts out of the north there for Lynn Canal. And blowing snow through tonight for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, and winter storm warning for the eastern North Slope. But conditions even by tomorrow morning will be improving, and you can see drying out on the west side, just some snow showers left for the central coast. And for the outlook on Tuesday, tomorrow, high pressure holding over central in eastern interior into the Yukon, and you can see the Arctic coast much better conditions there. It's just some flurries and a lot less wind on the east side, dry on the central and west coast, mostly clear central and southern areas, increasing clouds and maybe some moisture getting into the Nunivak Island area. Looks like light snow pretty likely for St. Lawrence Island as one surge of moisture lifts northward there. Next storm 971 millibars just off Kamchatka Peninsula pushes the front. More gale force winds and rain into the central Aleutians, but dry for the Fox Islands. Pretty much dry for the Alaska Peninsula, mostly sunny Bristol Bay. Mostly clear and breezy Kodiak Island. Strong winds over the northern panhandle again with high wind watch out for the Admiralty Island area, downtown Juneau, right on up Klondike Highway to Skagway. And also with that system pulling up near the Queen Charlotte, watch for some moisture backing in from the east there. Could bring some snow into the east side or the southeast side, say Stewart, possibly Wrangell and Petersburg. But dry to the north or out to the west and definitely to the north of those downsloping winds. And moving on to the outlook on Wednesday, that low really weakens there, but stays close enough to keep the chance of rain or snow in over the southern southeast coast. Wind's not much of a factor. Wind's coming down to gales now for Lynn Canal. Stevens Passage, for example, just be seeing some gale force gusts. So downward trend in the wind on Wednesday for the northern panhandle. Dry over the interior, high pressure basically holding, but increasing moisture, a little breezy for the southwest coast. St. Lawrence Island, mix of precipitation with warmer air ahead of that front, and rain extending down to the western Alaska Peninsula and kind of showery and unsettled for the western Aleutians and western Bering Sea, but the main low center pulling back up toward the Russian coast. Should be mostly fair with clearing all along the Arctic coast there. Looking at lows tonight, 15 to 25 below, or 10 to 20 below for the eastern interior, down to 20 below for the Copper River Basin, much milder on the Arctic coast, lows in the mid-20s. And for the highs tomorrow, Tuesday afternoon, staying below zero roughly from the central interior, just a shade below there, and anywhere from 5 to 10 below on the eastern interior from the Copper River Basin right up into the Yukon Flats. Highs approaching 30 or upper 20s, lower 30s, western central Arctic coast, lower to mid-20s on the east side, mid-30s St. Lawrence Island, mid-40s over the Pribilofs, and mid-upper 40s for the Aleutians, upper 30s Kodiak Island, mid-20s to lower 40s for the southeast coast. And then the lows Wednesday morning, below zero from, say, the Kuskokwim Valley, right on up into the eastern interior, anywhere from 5 to 20 below again. And back down into the teens, lower teens, eastern Arctic coast. And for the Panhandle, lower teens north to upper or lower 30s to the south. And any colder south central Alaska, lows anywhere from 10 below to 10 above. Upper 20s Kodiak Island, highs below zero eastern interior, and 20s for southern Alaska.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
First line weather graphic, Tuesday morning, VFR, Arctic coast, all the way down to the Gulf of Alaska, Kodiak Island, Bristol Bay, and northern panhandle, with some marginal VFR possible there, Wrangell Mountains up to the eastern Alaska Range, and also possibly right along the coast of the far eastern Beaufort Sea coastline. And then IFR, southern Seward Peninsula up through the Bering Strait, and also just south of St. Matthew Island down across the Pribilofs to the eastern Aleutians and Atka Island. And for the afternoon, a little bit more in the way of marginal VFR, but still pretty good in the interior. Marginal VFR areas from the Wrangell Mountains, northeast Copper River Basin, northward, a little more expansive over the upper Tanana Valley, 40 Mile Country, and into the eastern Yukon Flats area, with looks like Delta Junction and possibly even into Fairbanks getting marginal, and also back to the northwest, Kobuk and Koyukuk Valley, down to about the Yukon River there, just east of the Seward Peninsula, and then on up across probably Selkirk right on the edge there, and then several bands of IFR, one breaking up there as it approaches the western Bristol Bay area, but along the southern Alaska Peninsula, Yukon Delta, St. Lawrence Island, another narrow band, Atka, northward, and then you can see yet another one just coming onto the picture farther to the west. And for the afternoon, that one seems to slip up to the northeast there. And then we've got IFR from Atka Island on Alaska, northward to St. Paul, St. George, and also along the southern coast of the Seward Peninsula to about Golovin or so, and back to Tin City. Margin along the northwest coast, Kivalina, Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, And most of the Arctic coast, all of the North Slope and most of the Arctic coast, VFR, southward to the Gulf of Alaska again. Some marginal VFR possible. Again, northeastern Copper River Basin, eastern Alaska Range. IFR also possible down over the southeastern part of the Panhandle with marginal VFR over the southern half. And for the afternoon, marginal VFR, southern southeast coast, IFR to the north, and basically the interior VFR, with including Kodiak Island, VFR, North Gulf Coast, and marginal VFR coming into Bristol Bay with south side of the Alaska Peninsula areas of IFR. Aleutians, marginal, most of the Bering Sea marginal, Pribilof's IFR, Nunivak Island, Yukon Delta Coast, and also Cape Newenham up into Togiak Bay, and a little bit inland there with IFR to St. Lawrence Island, marginal VFR, Bering Strait, Western Seward Peninsula, Northwest Coast, VFR for the Arctic Coast. And Atuvik IFR, look for improvement tomorrow, maybe becoming VFR. Lowest conditions in the morning, better in the afternoon. And for Adigan, IFR to marginal VFR, I think it'll not as good a chance of going VFR as Anatuvik will. So just go to marginal for the afternoon there. Lake Clark and Merrill, another VFR day tomorrow, as well as rainy. In fact, all of the entire Alaska range, I'm going to go VFR, windy, Isabel, Mentasta. Looking good. Tanita, also another VFR day. And Fort Portage, VFR. Chilkoot and White, VFR once again. Freezing levels, a few more lines appearing on the map now than we've had last, at least through the weekend. You can see 6,000 feet now up into the central Aleutians. Head of the frontal boundary there, 2,000 feet north of the Pribilofs. And at the surface, which has been up there, now a little, not quite as far up into the Chukchi Sea as it is today currently, but then back down along and hugging the North Gulf Coast, Alaska Peninsula, along the coast of the Panhandle, 2,000 feet there, Dixon entrance. And for icing, could be some mixed isolated moderate rime icing over the southern and southeast part of the Panhandle into Dixon entrance on the east side, otherwise icing free the remainder of the Panhandle, all of the interior, maybe a threat there for the eastern Beaufort Sea coast, and just a slight threat there of some mixed icing. A little bit better chance for St. Lawrence Island than there is along the Yukon Delta coast. And then the bigger area with that front coming into the Aleutians there, occasional moderate rime icing coming in toward Adak. And for the jet stream, upper level ridge now inland, been creeping eastward across the Bering Sea for the last 4 or 5 days. Now it's going to get into the western interior tomorrow to the Alaska Peninsula. Behind that, 120 knot jet with the storm coming into the Aleutians. Northerlies, 65 to 75 knots over the eastern interior into the Gulf, and southerlies 110 into the southern Panhandle. 9,000 feet, 65 knot winds coming into the western Aleutians with the next storm. 45 knot northerlies over the eastern Brooks Range. Southerlies 45, northern Bering Sea. And at 3,000 feet, 70 to 80 knot winds there with that storm in the west. Turbulence, occasional moderate mechanical, Prince William Sound right on down the Panhandle, maybe the southern Seward Peninsula, northwest coast, and the central and western Aleutians. And after the break, I'll be back with the
Greetings, Sky Spotters. Trace here. Midweek, we're going to get a lovely clump of 2 planets with our beautiful crescent moon, all right after sunset. It's so exciting. Pack an appetizer and head out to Sunset Rock. Every town has a Sunset Rock, right? Once you're all set, look south after sundown on November 18th and find a bright spot near the moon. That's Jupiter. On the next night, the moon is to the left of the other bright light, Saturn. Incredible. I never get over that we can see our planetary pals out there as we orbit this miasma of incandescent plasma. This event is what astronomers call a conjunction. It means sky objects are near each other in the sky. The planets aren't actually close to each other in real life, it just appears so from our position. This conjunction is good practice for next month when we have a great conjunction, so get ready and keep looking up.
Hello, I'm a GOES-R series weather satellite orbiting 22,000 miles above Earth. I can see a lot of cool stuff from up here, and I take pictures of it with my spiffy camera that has 16 different settings. I have such good eyesight, I can see clouds, snow, smoke, smog, and ash, so I can warn you about dangerous conditions and help you avoid them. When storms are brewing, I watch them closely and help with hurricane, tornado, and flood warnings to help keep you safe. And my lightning mapper tracks lightning strikes way up in the sky, even through dark, dense clouds. I also help with search and rescue missions. I listen for distress signals from emergency beacons and tell search and rescue teams just where to find people who need help. But even when I'm keeping a close eye on Earth, I'm monitoring weather out here in space, too. I watch the sun for big bursts of energy, which send waves of radiation toward Earth that can affect power grids, block communication with planes, cause errors in GPS, and damage satellites. Space weather is also very dangerous for astronauts working outside the International Space Station. I warn them so they can get inside where they'll be safe. So the next time you watch a weather report or check your phone for the forecast, remember, that's me. So look to the sky and wave. I'll be here. Whoa! Things are looking pretty bad down there. But don't worry. I'm going to give weather forecasters a heads up and help you stay safe. I'm a GOES-R series weather satellite, and one of my jobs is to keep an eye on Earth's weather as I orbit above. But I'm 22,000 miles above Earth. How does your local weather forecaster know what I see all the way up here? First, I have to figure out what's going on. I point my special camera at the Earth and take pictures of the clouds I see below. My pictures show where the clouds are, but I also take lots of other notes about the clouds. For example, how high they reach into the atmosphere, how much rain they might cause, and when a severe storm may be forming. But I can't keep all of this information to myself. I have to share it with weather forecasters down on Earth. A big antenna is waiting for my call. Since I'm a satellite, I send my pictures and notes in a computer language of ones and zeros. Luckily, the antenna speaks my language. Computers connected to the antenna organize my notes and combine all of the pictures and cloud information and translate them into weather maps. They send a version of the maps back up to me. I'll hold on to these for later. Another copy of the maps is split into smaller pieces. This helps the maps move faster from one place to another. The map pieces are then sent for processing before being sent back up in the sky to a communication satellite. From there, the maps are picked up by antennas at the National Weather Service forecast offices in each region. There are more than 100 offices. I also take the maps that I received and send them out to companies that specialize in making the maps more colorful and better for viewing on TVs and computers. The colorful maps and the maps from the forecast offices then go to your local weather forecaster. The forecaster combines the information from these maps with lots of other information, like model forecast data and radar data, to make predictions about the upcoming weather in your area. And that's how I help you find out if bad weather is going to ruin your afternoon plans. You're welcome. Soon it will be my time to shine in outer space. I'm the GOES-R satellite. That stands for Geostationary Operational Environmental Satellite. And the R stands for my order in this series of weather satellites. Like my older siblings before me, I'll do a lot for watching weather, but I'm pretty special because I have a lot of new gadgets. I'm originally from Colorado, but my journey to space has a few stops along the way. I'll be shipped in a very special satellite shipping container to Kennedy Space Center. Moving me around is not easy. I'm over 18 feet wide and weigh 6,000 pounds. And then things get really exciting. I get loaded onto an Atlas V541 launch vehicle. A big rocket! Woo! After Atlas and I blast off together, my compartment separates from the launch vehicle and I continue to climb higher and higher. Then I break away completely and unfurl my solar panel and antenna. After that, I have to use my thrusters to get into just the right position, 22,000 miles above the ground and traveling 1.9 miles per second to keep up with Earth's rotation. And then I can officially start my job along with my fellow GOES sisters, where I take advanced pictures for more accurate weather forecasts, map lightning in real time, and improve the monitoring of the sun's activity. It's going to be so awesome! I can't wait!
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Welcome back. Looking at the sea ice analysis for today. Of course, ice all the way out to the Arctic there from the coast, from the central coast eastward, and kind of actually beaten back a little bit by the winds on the west side. Not much change down to the south Kotzebue Sound or northeast Norton Sound, Norton Bay. And for the coastal water forecasts, gale warnings tomorrow for the south coast of the Panhandle. North winds 35 knots, seas up to 11 feet. Small craft advisories for Clarence Strait. Northwesterlies at 25. And then good gales in Stevens Passage. Sustained northerlies 40 knots, 8-foot seas. And for the north coast of the Panhandle, north to northeast, 40 knots, 8 to 11-foot seas. Strongest winds will be found in Lynn Canal. Storm warnings out there with northerly sustained at 55 knots, gusts 70 knots, and seas up to 11 feet. Let's see what happens on Tuesday up that way. Winds come down to sustained values about 40 knots, good for gales, loses storms, seas 8 feet, and north 25. Small craft advisory Stevens Passage with gale force gusts out of the north at 40 knots. Clarence Strait southeast at 20, and the Prince of Wales Island coastline there south 20 also. And then small craft advisories, you get up toward Port Alexander, Cape Decision there in toward Sitka, and then north of there you get gales on the north coast, east-northeast, 35 knots, 10 to 11-foot seas. Prince William Sound northerlies at 20 knots, seas 4 feet, but the eastern North Gulf Coast, small craft advisories, north 25 knots with gusts to 50 knots, especially out of the Copper River Delta. And for the western North Gulf Coast, lighter winds, just 15 knots out of the north, and then small craft advisories for the Barren Islands, northwest 30, northwest 20 for Kamishak Bay, Cook Inlet, light northeast winds at 10 knots, 2 to 3-foot seas. And for Wednesday, northeast 10 to 15 for Cook Inlet, small craft advisories, Kamishak Bay and the Barren Islands for northerly winds at 25 knots. And east-northeast, 20 to 25 knots there for the North Gulf Coast. Prince William Sound, northeast at 20, seas 3 feet. Kodiak Island on the east side, small craft advisories tomorrow. Northwest, 25 knots, seas 5 feet. West 15 for Shelikof Strait. Bristol Bay, southeast winds at 15 knots, seas just 2 feet. And for the Alaska Peninsula, southerly winds, 20 knots, seas 6 to 12 feet, with the 12-foot seas on the Pacific side of the peninsula. And for Wednesday, small craft advisories for the Alaska Peninsula, south to southwest 30 knots, 12-foot seas. East 25-knot winds for Bristol Bay on Wednesday with seas at 4 feet. And for the east side of Kodiak, northwest winds coming down to about 20 knots and southwest 20 from Cape from Sitkinak to Castle Cape. Shelikof Strait only east at 10. And for Unalaska Island tomorrow, west winds 20 knots. Unmak Island, small craft advisory south to southwest, 25 to 30 knots. Gale warnings for the central Aleutians Adak south 35 to 40 knots, seas up to 16 feet. Amchitka Island southwest 45 knots, and then storm warnings out from Kiska to Shimia, southwest 50 knots, seas 21 feet. Those will turn westerly, fall back to 40 knots with seas just under 30 feet on Wednesday there from Kiska to Shimia. And for Amchitka southwest 35, Adak west southwest 30 knots. Unmak Island southwest at 30, seas 17 to 19 feet. And gale warnings for Unalaska Island west 35 to 40 knots, seas to 16 feet. Southwest coast, St. Lawrence Island, St. Matthew Island for Tuesday. Southeast winds 30 knots all areas, seas 9 to 16 feet. Pribilof southwest 25 with 12-foot seas, and Norton Sound southeast to 20, seas 4 feet. Wednesday, east winds 25 knots for Norton Sound with seas at 4 feet. Small craft advisories for the southwest coast. Winds will be southeast 25 knots, seas around 10 feet. West 30 knots for the Pribilofs, 14-foot seas, and then gales for St. Matthew Island, south 35, seas 21 feet. And for the eastern Boulevard Sea coast, winds much lighter tomorrow than they were today. West-southwest 15, central coast southwest 20. Small craft advisories on the west side, 25-knot winds. Small craft advisories are 25 to 30-knot winds all the way down to Wales. Outlook for Wednesday, southeast 25 knots from Wales to Cape Beaufort. Otherwise, south 15 to 20 on the western Arctic coast, east side, east-southeast at 15 knots. For tonight, high wind watch out for tomorrow into Wednesday morning for the area along the Klondike Highway from northern Admiralty Island, Juneau, on up toward Skagway for winds gusting over 60 miles an hour. High pressure over the interior, and the conditions improve in the Arctic coast. And for Tuesday, high pressure holds once again. Increasing winds northern Panhandle, fall back again on Wednesday.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.